Imagine a small thing in your pocket or on your desk. No screen. You just talk to it or it watches and listens and it quietly does what you need. No unlocking, no finding the app, no tapping. For years, people have promised exactly this. An AI box that finally replaces the phone. And now the company behind ChatGPT, OpenAI, has teamed up with the designer of the iPhone, Jony Ive, to try it. But here is the honest truth up front. As far as the public knows, that device does not exist yet. It has not shipped, the specs are not confirmed, and the rumors even contradict OpenAI's own court filings. So instead of guessing at a gadget, let us teach the real thing. Why people keep reaching for a screenless AI device, why it is genuinely hard to build, and what 2 earlier failures already taught us. Start with what is genuinely confirmed because it is narrow. In May of 2025, OpenAI and Jony Ive announced they were building AI hardware together. OpenAI bought Ive's device startup, called I.O., in an all-stock deal that valued it at roughly $6.5 billion. That is OpenAI's largest acquisition so far. Ive and his design studio, called Lovefrom, stay independent, but his people came in-house, and he took on deep design responsibility across OpenAI. He is not a full-time executive there, and the stated intent, which matters more than any leaked spec, is this: a device that is screen-free, voice-first, and meant to be calmer and less addictive than a phone. Ive said he wants technology that makes us, in his words, happy and more peaceful and less anxious. That is a philosophy, not a product sheet. Hold on to it. Everything past that splits into 3 tiers and keeping them separate is the whole game. Tier 1, confirmed. OpenAI bought I.O., the device is screen-free and voice-first, and the goal is a calmer companion. Tier 2, reported by credible press. The likely form is palm-sized, roughly phone-sized, with no screen, taking in both sound and sight through a camera and microphones, meant to be a third-core device alongside your phone and laptop, building up a running memory of your life. Reporting even says it may be always sensing, rather than waiting for a wake word. Hold that loosely, it is reported, not official. And Tier 3, rumor. A single leaker described it as behind-the-ear earbuds under a codename with a fancy chip and skin sensors. Here is the sharp part. That earbuds claim directly contradicts OpenAI's own sworn court statement, which says the device is, quote, not an in-ear device, nor a wearable. A sworn filing outranks a leak. So when the two disagree, we trust the filing and flag the leak, never the other way around. There is a twist even in the name. OpenAI originally called the project I.O., but a separate Google-backed startup spelled E.O., making ear-worn hardware, sued over the confusingly similar name. A judge granted an early restraining order. OpenAI scrubbed the I.O. and Ive promotion from the web. An appeals court agreed, and by early 2026 OpenAI had dropped I.O. branding entirely, with a formal injunction following. Then the case escalated. E.O. amended its lawsuit to allege trade secret theft, claiming a former engineer handed over secret design files. That accusation is, importantly, just a claim, unproven in court. We mention it because it shows how unsettled all of this is. Even the name is contested. The leaks carry 2 different code names for what might be 2 different products, and that churn is your signal that nobody outside should be quoting specs as fact. So on screen, we will simply call it OpenAI's AI device with Jony Ive, and tag every detail. So why does this dream keep coming back? Think about what a phone actually is. It is a general-purpose computer that you drive manually. You unlock it, hunt for the right app, tap, scroll, tap again. It is powerful, but you are doing all the steering. The bet behind every ambient AI device is a different relationship. Instead of a tool you operate, it would be a delegate you talk to. Something that already sees and hears your situation and just handles the task. Say one sentence to the air and it is done. If that worked, the whole world of screens and apps and menus would suddenly look like overhead. That is the prize, and that is why the iPhone's own designer and the leading AI lab are both reaching for it. The proper name for the idea is ambient computing, a computer that fades into the background, so you address the space around you instead of staring at a glowing rectangle. But that dream carries a shadow, and you should hold both in one frame. The pitch is calmer, less addictive technology, yet the reported way to deliver it is cameras and microphones that are always on, quietly building a memory of your life. Calmer for your eyes, but a far more intimate sensor pointed at you all day. Before OpenAI, others tried, and there is a graveyard. Exhibit 1 is the Humane AI Pin from 2024, a screen-free gadget you wore on your chest with a magnet that beamed a little laser display onto your palm. It cost $699 up front, plus a monthly fee. The reviews were brutal. One of the most watched tech reviewers called it the worst product he had ever reviewed for now. It overheated. The battery was weak, responses were slow, and the palm projection washed out in sunlight. By the middle of 2024, according to reporting, more pins were being returned than were being bought. Then came two hard facts: a formal safety recall of around 10,000 charge cases over a lithium battery fire risk, and the company sold its assets to HP for about $116 million, then switched off, or bricked, every pin still in the world. A device people had paid for simply stopped working. Exhibit 2 is the Rabbit R1, also 2024. A little orange box, $199, sold on a bold promise. It would run something called a large action model, an AI that would actually operate your apps for you. One review summed it up as a $200 AI toy that fails at almost everything. The large action model mostly never materialized. The battery was poor. The answers were often wrong. And here is the most damaging line. The few things it could do, like placing a food order, were faster and easier to just do on your phone. Both deaths teach the same lesson, and it is the spine of this story. Neither failed on industrial design. They failed on reliability, speed, and plain usefulness. They fell below the phone you already carry, which is a brutal incumbent. It is instant, reliable, does everything, and is already paid for. So any new device faces one unforgiving test. Is this more reliable and faster than just reaching for my phone? Picture that as a bar with a glowing phone resting on top, marking the height to beat. Clear it and you have a product. Fall short and you have a toy or a return. Now the heart of it. Why is clearing that bar so hard? Start with listening, where there are two very different designs. Design 1 is the wake word. A tiny, cheap model runs on the device all the time, doing one boring job, listening for a single trigger phrase like "Hey Siri" or "OK Google." Only when it hears that does it wake the big, expensive AI. This is the trick, sometimes called keyword spotting, that lets phones and speakers seem always listening while sipping almost no power. Design 2 is truly always on. The device continuously senses and reasons about everything around you, with no trigger at all. And that, reportedly, is the harder road OpenAI is considering. Always on is brutal for two reasons. It is a privacy problem because the camera and microphone never stop. And it is a subtle interface problem because the device must figure out, on its own, when to speak and when to stay quiet. Knowing the right moment to talk is reportedly one of the things OpenAI is genuinely stuck on. Next, where the thinking actually happens and the clock that governs it. A frontier AI model is enormous. It does not fit on a tiny device. It lives in a data center in the cloud. So when you speak, your words may have to travel across the network to that data center and back. That round trip alone can add anywhere from tens of milliseconds to several hundred, depending on distance, before the model has even started thinking. And here is why that matters. For a spoken conversation to feel natural, the reply has to come quickly. A noticeable pause breaks the spell, and the magic of just talking to it collapses into waiting for it. The standard term for this delay is latency, and low latency is everything for voice. So devices split the work. Quick, cheap jobs like spotting the wake word or basic speech run right on the device, which engineers call the edge. The heavy reasoning goes to the cloud. That split between edge and cloud is the central engineering trade-off of this entire category. That split forces a deeper, three-way squeeze, and it is the crux. Imagine a triangle with three corners: private, instant, and frontier smart, meaning as clever as the best AI models. You would love all three. You cannot have all three at once on a tiny device. Run everything on the device and it stays private and fast because nothing leaves and there is no round trip, but a small chip simply cannot hold a frontier model. To give you a sense of scale, even a mid-size model can need tens of gigabytes of memory just to run, and the very best are far larger, well beyond a pocket gadget. So to be smart, you send your surroundings to the cloud, and now you are streaming your private life out and paying for compute around the clock. Move toward any two corners and the third dims. Private and instant means not as smart. Smart and instant means not fully private. There is no free corner. Every device in this category is really just a choice about which corner to give up. Two more walls, both physical. First, compute at scale. It is one thing to run a frontier model for a single demo. It is another to run one always on, streaming constant audio and video for tens of millions of people at the same time. That multiplies the demand enormously. In fact, reporting says OpenAI's #1 bottleneck is exactly this. They are described as struggling to get enough computing capacity for ChatGPT alone, let alone for a hungry new device on every desk. Second, battery and heat. Continuous sensing plus radios plus computing all add up to power drained and heat produced. This is not a theory. It is literally how Humane failed. It overheated, the battery gave out, and it earned a fire risk recall. Physics does not care how clever the AI is. A device that is hot or dead by noon has already lost to the phone. These walls, serving everyone at once in the heat in your hand, are not solved by a better idea. They are solved by hard engineering, or not at all. Two softer problems round out the mechanism. One is personality. Beyond the hardware, reporting says OpenAI has not settled how the assistant should feel. One memorable description of the goal was that they want a friend who is a computer, but not your weird AI girlfriend. An always-present companion that interrupts at the wrong moment or just feels creepy, fails on vibe even if every wire works. The other is the senses. Taking in both audio and visual cues means the device is multimodal. Microphone, camera, and other sensors all fused into the context the model reasons over. More senses make it genuinely more useful because it can see what you see, not just hear you. But every added sense is more computing to process and more of your life exposed. So all of this stacks. Latency, always on, battery, compute, personality, the senses. They do not just each have to be okay. They multiply together into one number, the reliability of the whole experience. Nail 4 and miss the 5th, and the device still tilts below the bar. That is why this is so unforgiving. So how would OpenAI's device stack up? Its real rival is not Humane or Rabbit, which are gone. It is the smartphone already in everyone's pocket. That phone is instant, reliable, runs every app, has a camera and microphone and screen, and is already paid for. Any third device has to justify why you would carry yet another thing. That is a far higher bar than just being cool or being designed by a legend. Pedigree does not clear it, and there is a skeptic's question worth taking seriously. Your phone, your smart speaker, and your earbuds already do voice and some ambient sensing today. So what is genuinely new here? The claimed answer is continuous, multimodal context plus a frontier model delegate that acts for you, rather than a simple command taker. But until it ships, what does this do that my phone and earbuds cannot is an open, unanswered question. And it is the exact question Humane and Rabbit could not answer. Which brings us to the most honest section. How do you use it and what does it cost? You do not, and there is no confirmed price or date. There is no shipping product, no hands-on review, no official price, no firm release day. An early target of 2026 has since slipped, and the most recent reporting points to 2027, with one court filing indicating it would not ship before early that year. And Altman himself reportedly cautioned people not to expect anything very soon. The only concrete pricing in this story is the cautionary one. Humane's $699 plus a monthly fee for a device that underperformed a phone. And from the way the technology works, expect that any shipping device would lean on the cloud, which usually means a subscription and a hard need for a connection. Then the defining risk, privacy. The reported design is cameras and microphones that are always active, building a running memory of your life. That is the most intimate consumer sensor anyone has tried to sell. And it does not only watch you. Everyone who walks into the room gets sensed too, and they never agreed to it. Bystanders cannot opt out of a device on someone else's body. OpenAI is reportedly wrestling with exactly how to guarantee privacy while sensing nonstop. And that is a real, present, unresolved problem. Let us puncture 5 common misreadings, one at a time. 1. OpenAI is about to launch AI earbuds. No. The earbud story is a single leaker's claim that contradicts OpenAI's own sworn court filing, which says not in-ear, not a wearable. 2. It is basically ChatGPT stuffed into a gadget or just a smarter smart speaker. That misses the bet, which is ambient, always-on, multimodal context acting as a delegate. The hard part is the invisible engineering, not the chatting. 3. AI gadgets already proved they cannot work. That is outdated framing. The early ones failed on reliability and heat and speed. That is a historical result and an engineering challenge people are still working on, not a law of nature. 4. It will obviously beat the phone because OpenAI and Ive are behind it. No. The phone is a brutal incumbent and pedigree does not clear the bar that Humane and Rabbit missed. 5. It is just a calm, private wellness device. Half true. The intent is calm, but the reported mechanism is always on cameras and microphones remembering your life. A calmer screen, yes, but a bigger watching footprint. So step back. Strip away the OpenAI specifics and a timeless idea remains. People keep trying to build a post-phone AI box because a true delegate would beat a manual tool. And they keep failing on the same fixed bar, better than your phone, beaten by the same pillars, latency, always on, battery, compute, and trust. That stays true no matter what OpenAI eventually ships. There is also a deeper shift underneath. Computing has moved from keyboard to mouse to touchscreen, and the frontier people are now reaching for is no explicit interface at all. A machine that simply acts on the context it senses, screen to ambient context. Whether OpenAI's device is the one that finally crosses, the direction is the real story. So here is the honest close. We know the ambition. OpenAI bought I.O. for around $6.5 billion and is building a screen-free, voice-first, calmer intent companion. We know the graveyard and why it is hard, for the very reasons Humane and Rabbit died. What we do not know is the device. Not its form, not its name, not its date, not whether it clears the bar. And honestly, that open question, will anyone finally build something better than reaching for your phone, is far more interesting than any leaked spec.